Hello there. Welcome to another episode of the Straight Talk about Small Business Success podcast. I've got a special guest for us. His name is Scott Reib. Scott, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be on the show.
That's great. Yeah, thanks for taking that time for this. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm going to quickly share Scott's bio. Scott's an official Zig Ziglar small business lawyer, a Ziglar Legacy certified trainer, and he has over 20 years of experience as an attorney. For the last 20 years, Scott's helped small business owners, entrepreneurs, coaches, and service providers to shatterproof their businesses and succeed in the business world. He is a firm believer that seeking legal advice doesn't have to be intimidating or expensive if we treat lawyers like primary care providers instead of ER doctors. Through his subscription based access plan legal services, Scott is making great strides in shifting that perspective. So, Scott, when I read your bio, when my team shared this with me, and I saw Zig Ziglar, and Zig was one of my first mentors, and I was sharing with you earlier on when I came across him in a Peter Law event. There's a room full of a conference room full of like 10,000 people,
Right.
and Zig was one of the presenters there. And from that, I went on to investing in his books, in his training programs, and so forth. What's your experience been like, working with you? You're their attorney, you represent, you're their official lawyer. What's your experience been working like with an organization such as Zig's?
Yeah, it's been amazing. It's an amazing organization. The way that it's pivoted after Zig's passing, and how Tom has managed that, and the family is so strong, and they're just great to work with. It's Tom brings the best of Zig, and then he also has some ideas of his own and is writing books too. And so the combination has just been a lot of fun. I get to be included on all the programs that they're planning and creating to help them with business strategy, and then obviously the legal side. But it's just a blast. They're just such great people, and when their mission and vision is to help millions and millions of people across the world, and I just get to be a part of that. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. And I've got a couple of specific questions I want to ask you about the legal profession and
Sure.
businesses and so forth. But before we go there, earlier on, in a side conversation you and I were having, you talked about a mastermind, belonging to a mastermind. I'd love to hear your perspective on what is a mastermind, being part of one. What has it done for you?
That's an interesting question. Yeah. It's a from a networking standpoint, it's been huge for me. I've now got friends that I didn't have before that make me better. They have skill sets that I don't have. They can provide things I can't, and they just purely make me better. But to me, a mastermind is where you bring people probably from different and varying backgrounds together that are highly successful, and highly motivated and ambitious, and you bring them into a room. I think they should be smaller. Probably 30 would be kind of the maximum size, and then there's usually someone that's facilitating or leading it. They may be doing some teaching and giving you some content, but the main role of the mastermind, of that facilitator, is to take the focus and put it on one of the members of the mastermind's business, and then let the other members work on it. And that's the taking these multiple minds together from different disciplines and focusing them in on each business that's in the room. And so you get this very different perspective of I have a business law firm. Someone else might have a marketing agency, and they get
Mm,
to apply what they've learned to my business, and things I would never have thought of without them. And sometimes the masterminds are purely business, but generally I found that a lot of the business problems that would be worked on in those groups end up going way deep into some personal issues that maybe you may have some mental blocks or things that are keeping you from the success that you're trying to get to, and the people in the room can push you through that. It's sometimes uncomfortable, but it's a really good process. And it's we different from having a business coach, which I also am a very big proponent of. But that's more of a one-to-one where they're giving you action steps, holding you accountable. The facilitator or the mastermind, like I said, may be teaching some, but their goal really is to make this group come together and work as one and make each other better. And when I've been a part of those, it's been an amazing experience. Like I said, I've got friends that I know if I need something, I know that they're there for me, even though if I haven't seen them in a year.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Thanks for sharing that perspective. I
Yeah,
know that wasn't planned on the agenda, but appreciate
yeah,
your perspective on that.
you
So,
bet.
why do business owners need to stop treating lawyers like ER doctors or emergency rooms?
Yeah, the problem with the way I see the legal industry is that it's all set up to be reactive, and so people
Mm,
have legal issues come up, and then they go to a law firm to have this emergency solved. And it's just like when we get really ill and we go to an emergency room to get this acute problem solved. If we had been taking care of ourselves a lot of the time, not if you've broken the bone or something, but if it's an acute health disease type issue, we could have handled it differently by working on wellness. If we're having regular conversations with our healthcare providers on how should we be doing nutrition, how should we be doing our supplements, are we sleeping enough, are we getting enough water, what does our exercise routine look like? If you have someone that's kind of can help you with those little things regularly, you don't have the big emergencies. And it's the same in the law business. And what I figured out back in 2011, 2012 was that I had a problem that my clients were coming to me with these big emergencies, and I could usually fix them, which would mean litigation, and we would win, but it would cost a lot of money, and they would always go away a little bit unhappy, right? Because we won, but it didn't feel good. And so they would go away and make more mistakes. And a lot of times the things we would see is that there's a bad paragraph in a contract where there was ambiguous language that just wasn't written well because it was written by lay
mm,
people and no lawyers looked at it. And had that paragraph been written correctly, everyone would have saved hundreds of thousands of dollars. And they could have probably spent a couple $1,000 ahead of time being preventative and proactive, but they didn't. And the reason that I found that they didn't was because of the way lawyers traditionally bill. Since the 50s, lawyers have billed their clients by the hours. And
mm,
so, you have an hourly rate that's broken down into 6-minute increments. And so every phone call, email, text, anything you do, you get billed. And so if a client calls the billable hour lawyer with a question, the bill starts running. They
got
know
it.
that they've been conditioned to that because of
Right.
working with lawyers in litigation. And so they'd rather do anything than have that money fly out of their pocket. So they'll flip a coin, Google it, dial a friend, anything but call the lawyer. And so
Mm,
it really puts them in a bad spot. And it's kind of not their fault. They've just been conditioned that way. But if they make a paradigm shift and see lawyers as their friend, that we can help
mm,
avoid problems by spending regular time with your lawyer, you can maybe avoid big problems, maybe avoid almost all problems, but you can minimize those things and have a very much smoother business ride than you would otherwise. And that means you
mm,
get to go home at night and sleep well and have peace of mind because you've asked those questions. They haven't gone and asked, because a lot of my friends, they're entrepreneurs, have questions,
mm,
and because they're my friends, they can ask me. But if you don't have that access, you can't ask the
mm,
questions, and so you're kind of just out there alone in kind of a weird position, because now there's so much information out there. I mean, you can
mm,
ask Chat GPT what thinks you should do, but you're not going to get the same answer as you would from asking a lawyer that knows you, knows your circumstances, and knows how the law applies to it. And so that's why I say you've got to treat lawyers like primary care, not emergency rooms, if you want to have security and peace of mind with your business and your life. And that's what we call, being a shatterproof business.
mm. Got it. Share with us some of the strategies, Scott, when it comes to shatterproofing a business. What are those strategies?
Yeah, well, one of them deals with the two of us. You need to have a team of key advisors. One of them is you've got to have a CPA accountant that can help you, because the way we keep score in business is with the money and how much money you keep, not how much money you make. And you guys hold that, and you know how to do it. You know how to help us manage cash flow, how to make sure we're paying the right amount of taxes but not too much, how to do all of those things, set up our chart of accounts, do all the things that most business owners aren't trained to do. I know, I mean, I've got a business degree and I know enough about accounting to know I don't want to do it. But I need someone that can. You also need to have a banker. You need to know, a banker that knows how lines of credit work, can set you up with a line of credit, make sure you have the right bank accounts, and it's there if you need them, if there's a problem with your bank accounts. And so it's not a bank. Everyone's got a bank on every corner. You need a banker, someone that you actually know and have a relationship with. And then you need an insurance broker that can make sure you have insurance coverage for those liabilities that are already known. There's certain things we just know are at risk. We want to make sure that we are covered for fire if our office catches on fire or if it floods. You want to make sure you have car insurance. You want to have workers' compensation insurance. There's just certain things we know, but then there's things that you might not be aware of that are available unless you're having a regular conversation with an insurance pro. So you do that. And then you want to have a business coach, in my opinion, that can help you see the forest for the trees, because so many of us as solopreneurs, small business owners, we're just kind of on an island by ourselves, and it's very hard to navigate because you're in an echo chamber. Every idea you have either sounds good or sounds bad, and they're not. Neither of those is true. And you need to have someone else that can vet those ideas with you, and then once you make decisions on action steps, hold you accountable to those action steps. And I've just found you can scale exponentially faster if you have that business coach. And so that'd be one strategy that I would say that is a good step on the way to being a shatterproof, unbreakable business.
Makes sense. Surround yourself with the right people, people you can trust that have your best interest at heart. Yeah, that's great. What else?
Yeah, the next one is to build on a solid foundation. You can't build your business or your house on a bad foundation. You can't build on sand. You got to build on rock. And that foundation for businesses is, from a legal standpoint, is your corporations, your LLCs. You have to have the right legal entity and structure set up. You cannot be a sole proprietor. And there's still too many business owners out there that are running as DBAs, sole proprietors, and everything that they touch is exposing themselves to that liability. And so you've got to get that established. My preference usually is the LLC. It's the simplest to set up and run, and it gives you the protection of my personal assets are different from my business. And so if you start there and build and then get with the team we've set up of CPAs and attorneys and talk about do I need to have two companies? Do I need to have a holding company? Well, how do I set this up? But the first step is get that foundation of an LLC so that you are a legitimate business. I've found not only does it give you the separation legally, but it also seems to set you on a path for success. I think if you look anecdotally, most businesses that incorporate are very much more likely to be successful than those that don't. And so that would be that real key is get your foundation right.
Great. Good. Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Cool. Number 3. We'll just go down the line.
Okay, we'll just keep going. Document everything. All right. And so this would talk about contracts. So you need to have written agreements. You can't do handshake deals anymore. And written agreements can be electronic, but you have to set out what your good or service is in writing, how it's going to be provided, when it's going to be provided, who pays what, when they pay, how we fight. All the details need to be written out. And we have to document that. We need to document our corporation, our LLC needs to have bylaws, needs to have an operating agreement. And when you make major decisions, let's do minutes. Let's have resolutions. We're a legitimate business, then we're documenting those things. If you're doing proposals, do written proposals and keep them. Don't just throw out numbers everywhere. Put it in writing so that you can prove what you said. Because if you didn't document it, it didn't happen. There's another kind of medical legal parallel that I did a lot of litigation in my early legal career, and in the medical malpractice and nursing malpractice field, if it's not noted, if it's not charted, it didn't happen. It's the same thing in business documentation. If you just saying it happened doesn't mean it happened. When there's a written document or a digital entry, that's when there's a record that it happened. If you somehow have to prove you did it, that's the way you do it, is you document it. So it's just really key as a business owner to come up with a system of how you're going to document everything. You should have some sort of a cloud service so you can keep as much digital material as you need. You don't have to worry about having too much. Get away from paper. You can lose paper, and just document everything you do. And you need to rely on your legal team to make sure that you have the right templates and things set up so that you're doing solid documentation and doing it in the right way.
Makes a lot of sense. Good. Let's do one more strategy to shatterproof one's business.
Yeah, this one's pretty big. You need to own your brand. Too many business owners aren't sure they own their brand, and that means they don't have the trademark for their business name. We're all building these businesses that, these are our dreams, and I believe your small business is the best avenue to succeed and to achieve your dreams. But you want to make sure you own that brand, because if we get 10 years down the road and we figure out you've been climbing the wrong ladder because it's not your business, someone else owned that name brand that you've been building, suddenly they give you a cease and desist letter and say you either rebrand or we're suing you. Now the brakes go on and it squeals, and it's like, now what do I do? Do I fight for it and maybe lose? Do I rebrand and spend all that money and lose traction? Either way, it's a mess. And so the earlier in your entrepreneurial journey that you can make sure that whatever your brand is, that you've got a United States trademark on that thing so that it's yours, so that when you're ready to sell your business in the future, you can throw that certificate on them and show that this is a brand that we have protected. It's owned. This isn't something we just claim. We actually own it. And so if you buy this business from us, you're not going to have trademark issues when you go out and maybe take it national, because maybe you've got a regional company and hadn't had trouble, but they want to take it national. Well, you can't go national because you don't have the trademark. So you got to brand it. And so that would be the fourth strategy that I would say that every entrepreneur out there should be careful about, is making sure they own their brand.
Yeah, that's great. Appreciate you sharing that. I want to shift gears a bit. I want to talk about recurring revenues. Why is that important? And it seems that you've taken a traditional law firm and made it into a subscription model. And I want you to kind of talk about why you did that. And it's probably the reason why you're advising folks to think about recurring revenues. And just a little bit then we'll talk at the end about what that looks like for a business owner to access and tap into that service that you're providing. So first is why a recurring model? Why do you encourage folks to do that?
Well, the best way probably is to tell a story. About 2 years into my subscription model, I had some catastrophic things happen in my law firm where I lost all of my employees left for various reasons while I was on vacation. I was in California on vacation with my family, got resignations in email, and I knew it was bad. From an employee standpoint, I had nobody. So I finished the vacation, came back, I'm sitting in my 2,000 square foot office, and it's just me. And it dawned on me that I was going to be okay. 2 reasons. My payroll was gone. If you lose all your employees, there's one benefit to that. Your costs go way down. Your labor cost is zero. And I had started a recurring revenue model 2 years before. So I knew exactly what was going to, on the first of the month, and this was June 2nd, I knew what was coming. I knew exactly what I had in the bank. I knew what would happen on the 15th. I could forecast and predict it. Was it big enough? No. I needed to be bigger, but I knew exactly what it was. And I didn't panic because I had the stability of that system. And now, we get down the road to 2023, and my recurring revenue is 6 times what it was then. It makes everything better. I can travel and speak. I don't have to worry about my billing for my time. We're now selling value. We're selling a system, and that recurring revenue makes all that possible. Makes budgeting possible. It makes all those things possible. But that's not why I started it. I started it because there was a problem that
Mm.
with the delivery service on legal. And I wanted to solve that problem and create this on-demand system. And the only way I knew to do that would be to come up with a fixed monthly fee,
Mm.
which was a subscription. And I was kind of inspired in a crazy way by the Dollar Shave Club. The Dollar Shave Club was running this crazy video commercials about the razor club and how you could order razors. And I'm like, gosh, if you can do a subscription for razors, I bet you can do it and make money as a
Mm.
law firm. And a lot of people said
Mm.
I couldn't,
Mm.
but I had this vision, and so I went and hired my first business coach, and I went through took three coaches to find one that really understood my vision and could help me. But I hired Clay Clark out of Tulsa, and he said, "Yeah, I get it. I've never done a legal subscription before, but I've done subscriptions before. We can do this."
Mm.
And so together, from August of 12 to November of 12, we built what became the Access Plan, and now we're an 11-year overnight success. But it completely changed the way I related to my clients, and it completely changed the way they related to us, and it changed my cash flow situation. And so I tell everyone I talk to that, maybe your business can't completely convert, and ours isn't
Mm.
completely converted. We do some flat fee projects,
Mm.
but it's 80% of it, 80 to 90%, depending on the month, is subscription. So find something in your business that can be a recurring revenue model. We have HVAC clients. They can put together maintenance type things that are
Mm.
subscription based. And so then they start building up this base of recurring revenue, and then they get to go out and do equipment installs and repairs and have bigger hits as far as sales. But they start building up this base of customers that are paying them $50 a month, and you start adding up hundreds and hundreds of those, and it really can make a significant difference in covering your overhead. And so it's like you just got to be a little bit creative, but it's fun helping them figure it out. And it makes such a difference, because for too long I would come in on the first of the month and sit down at my desk and just kind of take a deep breath and go, well, here we go. I hope I can pay the bills this month. I didn't really
Mm.
know. I had work, but just because I did the work didn't mean I was going to get paid.
Mm.
Because then I would bill and maybe have to then having a receivable. Well, in a subscription model, you don't really have any accounts receivable. I mean, occasionally you'll have a credit card or two that expire, or they get subject to fraud and you have to get a new card. And so you might spend a couple of days asking them for a replacement card. But I guess in the last 5 years, probably the most I've had in receivable at any given time is probably $3,000.
Mm. Yeah.
And compared to, there were months I used to run 20,000 in receivables, and you can't pay the bills on receivables. And so that's a major problem it solves. It also really lends itself, once you start doing the subscription, that it forces you to build systems, because because of the repetitive nature of it, it just lends it to that. And systems are really the key to building any kind of a sustainable business. Without the systems, you've really just got a glorified job. And so you got to build systems. And so that kind of pushes you towards that. And it really can help you create more of a lifestyle business.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, the subscription model in the law industry, I mean, I've come across really big players in this industry. The names escape me at this moment. Uh, are there like big names that you've come across that you've kind of?
Well, there's legal insurance,
Mhm.
Legal Shield, prepaid legal has
Legal
legal
Shield,
insurance,
prepaid legal. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so that's really more of an insurance product. And then they have
Okay.
law firms in every major city they've contracted with to do certain legal tasks.
Got it.
And
Like prepaid
it's a
legal. I think
it's
I'd
got
come
a
across
yeah,
them.
and it definitely, there's some value to those services. And now um there's lawyers that I've kind of helped do it. There's other lawyers across the country that are starting to do it now.
Mm.
Legal Zoom has some versions of it. There's a couple other big more, corporate feeling, national type deals. But there's very few doing it the way that we do it. The way we built the access plan is we built it in a way to encourage you to use it. Most subscription plans are built the opposite. They're built more on the gym model, where we're going to sign you up for a gym membership and hope you don't come because we don't really have enough room for you. Well, we do the opposite. I mean, one of the staples of our plan is we do monthly check-in calls. We want to talk to you every month so that we can see if everything's okay, see what you're getting ready to do, so we can maybe tell you not to do it or do it different, so that we can find work that we can do that's covered by the plan. We're here to do legal work, and if we're not doing legal work for you, we're not helping you as much as we could. I mean, just being on standby has value, but we want to be actively involved in your business. And so we kind of it's like we force you to do that. So each call, we're coming out with action items for us, action items for them, so that they're actually using their legal subscription. And most of them are built the opposite. Other way they're built is some people are selling blocks of time. Like you can just kind of pre-buy 3 hours of time a month. And ours has nothing to do with time. It's all about, there's different tasks that are built in. For instance, you can get LLCs set up at just whatever the state cost is. We'll do contracts, contract reviews. At the upper levels, we're doing buy-sell agreements, a lot of, even some HR stuff like putting together handbooks, estate and asset protection planning. And so it just depends on, where each entrepreneur is in their journey, on which level you're ready for. And we have 3 levels. If you go to rieblaw.com/access, then it shows the 3 levels right there. But there's 3 levels. It ranges from $650 a month to $33.50 a month. And there's kind of a plan for anybody. My goal is to try not to leave people out. I can't help everyone. There's certain people, if you don't, it's like, if you don't have any money, there's nothing medical science can do for you. And it's kind of the same way in the legal world to some extent, but we try really hard to put together a service that most business owners can find a way to spend $7,000 a year to make sure they've got the legal coverage and protection they need. And that's what we've been doing. And it's been very well accepted and makes for a very fun work life.
That's great.
Yeah.
This is good, man. Scott, I really enjoyed it. Good information that you've shared. Thanks for sharing the resource as well for folks to, and you share, you just say the URL, so we'll get that in the show notes as well, so folks can kind of click the link and check you out and so forth.
Yeah.
Is there any other way for them to access you or look about you?
Yes. Yeah, one thing is you can find me on Instagram at the Scott Reib, and we're dropping reels almost daily with legal tips and things. And then my book, The Shatterproof Entrepreneur, will be out in January. If you want to get on the list to get it, you can go to rieblaw.com/book and fill out a little form, and then you'll be on the list. So when it's available, we'll send you a link so you can get it. It's full of stuff like this on how to protect yourself legally, but it's much more broad. It's on it goes through the 6 phases of building a shatterproof business from start to finish.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's been a blast.
Yeah, same here. Bye-bye.